Hi, hello guys. So I couldn't complete the class today, okay, as I was not having a correct network, okay, as I was having network issues. So here we will do about the very third chapter, okay, that we are doing, and we'll try to complete the most part that we needed to do in the class. Okay, so this way it will be better. It will be a revision for you, okay, it will be a study material for you, and those who didn't attend, okay, it will be a class for you as well, okay, because many of you did not attend the class. You all have lots of problem, okay, so I understand that. So let's begin our class, okay, and let's do it from the very first, okay. So we are doing the chapter third of your syllabus, okay. So we are doing chapter third of your syllabus, and the name of the chapter is manufacturing industries, okay. Now let's just understand what a manufacturing industry means. So from the very beginning, okay, we'll start the class very slowly, and from the very beginning, okay, we'll try to understand each and every point well. So what is manufacturing? Okay, so the very first question, what is manufacturing? As we are doing the manufacturing industry, let's understand what is manufacturing as the very first thing. Okay, now manufacturing is a process of changing the primary product into more refined and usable product. Okay, from here we understand most of it. Okay, now to generally analyze it, okay, to understand it in a very practical manner, let's just take an example. Okay, let's just see of a cotton. Okay, now there are people who grow cotton. Okay, imagine I got a cotton, okay, full bunk of it. Now if I want to use it, it cannot be used in every mean. Okay, it cannot be used in every way. Now cottons are used for your surgical means, it is used for your cosmetic means, but can cotton be used in every other mean? Okay, can we wear a raw cotton around? No, that's impossible, right? That won't be right. Okay, so what do? We change it into a much more refined and useful product. Okay, we made a cotton t-shirt out of that. Okay, we made a cotton pants. Okay, we use cotton in our mattresses. Okay, our bed sheets, okay, are made out of cotton. Okay, so many things are made out of cotton, but in a refined manner. Okay, so this process of changing the cotton, raw cotton, into something more valuable, something more usable, okay, like a t-shirt or cotton jeans, okay, or a bed dress or a mattress. So this process is called a manufacturing, the change of a primary product into much more usable and reliable product. Okay, so this is called a manufacturing. Now as we know, okay, what manufacturing is, let's consider where a manufacturing actually takes place. Okay, because manufacturing doesn't take place in your home, in my home. No, it doesn't happen that way. Okay, so there is a particular structure. Okay, with a structure I mean generally a structure, a building, a town, a village, okay, a small slum, a small home, okay, where the or a small cottage, okay, so where this manufacturing process takes place. Okay, so this is called an industry. So what is an industry? An industrial industry is a structure, okay, maybe a building, a small cottage, okay, in which the manufacturing process takes place. Okay, so with this we know manufacturing is a process, industry is a place where manufacturing is taken up, okay, is considered, is done. Okay, so with this, okay, moving a little bit further, okay, let's understand what a division of industries in terms of daily factory employment is. Okay, now industries can be of various things. Okay, industries can be divided on various parts. Okay, we are just doing one part of it. We are dividing industry according to the number of people that work there. Okay, now when I say work there, so I mean the labor force, including the manager, the HR, human resource, okay, including the CEO. Okay, so I'm talking about them. So according to that, industry is divided into three parts, and those are the major industrial region. Okay, now these are the region. This is the daily factory. Okay, where the daily factory working force is 1.5 lakh and above. Okay, now this is called a major industrial region because this is major industry where 1.5 lakh of people work. Okay, that is a major industry. Okay, following to that, in the second point, we have the minor industrial region. Okay, now what is a minor industrial region is, now this too depends on the employment. Okay, this too depends on the employee working there. Okay, so here we must have a minimum of 25,000 working labor. Okay, if your industry, if you own an industry and if you have a minimum of 25,000 working labor and not more than 1.5 lakh, okay, that is called a minor industrial region. Okay. And to the third, okay, this is the list, okay, list in this part. Here, your working labor force is below 25,000. Okay, now this can be of any number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1,000, 1,000, up till 25,000. This is called a manufacturing district. Okay, so we are dividing industry on the number of laborers working there. Okay, on the number of employees there. Okay. Now with that, we see a part of India, okay, because as we live in India, we need to focus the industrial regions of our country, okay. So we see that our country is divided into major industrial regions, okay. Now there are minor industrial regions too, okay, which is not very important, okay. If the questions are to come in this year or in the coming years, okay, even if you are practicing in a BCS or UPSC, then question might appear from here. Okay, so you need to understand, you just don't have to mug it up. Okay, you need to understand the major industrial region of our country. Okay, now these are in the very first, this is the Mumbai Pune industrial region. Now Mumbai is said to be the New York of India, that is the financial capital of India. Okay, now Mumbai Pune industrial region has to come here. Okay, so why? Because here there are lots of industries. Okay, there are cotton textiles, the IT sectors, okay, there are machinery making industries, okay, there are a lot of industries here and lots of millionaires, billionaires live in this place, okay, so this place has to come here. And second, we have the Hooghly International Region. Now, Hooghly is a place in Calcutta that was established, okay, that was flourished by the Britishers. Why? Because this is a perfect port, okay, a seaport, where you can import and export things, okay, and when you are importing and exporting thing, you need a industry there, okay. Why? Because much of the things come in raw material, you need to make it into a finished product and distribute it all over the country. Understanding? Like for example, I need to import cotton from outside, though it doesn't happen, okay, India is self-sufficient in cotton, but still, let's take an example. I need to import some cotton from, let's say, China. Okay, they are the highest cotton making country. Okay, so I import the cotton from China, and Hooghly is the place where they land. Okay, now I import all the things. Okay, now I can't distribute cotton to every place of India. Okay, though I can do that, but let's say for better financial issue, I need to change it to a better product. Okay, to a more usable product. So I form up a jockey company, or I form up a Levi's company there, okay, industry there, and I change the cotton into a cotton jeans, cotton t-shirts or whatever, okay, and then I distribute it to the other parts of the country, okay. So that's why Hooghly industrial region is also very important. Then we have the Bangalore Tamil Nadu industrial region, okay, where the IT sectors are flourishing. Okay, the Bangalore regions and the Tamil Nadu sectors, the IT sectors are flourishing very high. Okay, much of our people of Bengal, they go there and they work in the IT sectors there. Okay, they are doing very good in that. And Gujarat industrial region, okay, Gujarat is very good at cotton, textile. It has always been like that. Okay, you all know the history of Mahatma Gandhi. Okay, so Gujarat has always been such. Okay, Ahmedabad and all these places. Okay, it has become a business hub. Okay, Chota Nagpur industrial region. Why Chota Nagpur? Now Chota Nagpur is rich of minerals. Okay, Chota Nagpur Plateau. Okay, today's Jharkhand Chhattisgarh region. These are rich of minerals. Why? Because these are plateaus. And as we discussed in our previous class, in plateaus are the oldest landmass in Earth, okay? And a landmass that has gone through so many years of age, with so many years of high temperature and pressurization, all of the rocks have been, much of the rocks, not all of the rocks, but much of the rocks beneath to the ground, okay, to the upper mantle parts, okay, those parts, they have converted to minerals, okay, they have converted to coal, they have converted to petroleum, okay, so you get gold here, zinc, okay, all this thing, iron ore, okay, and this is the reason why Chota Nagpur industrial region is a very flourishing region, okay, in terms of industry. Now then we have Visakhapatnam Guntur industrial region, okay, and then we have Gurgaon Delhi Meerut industrial region, and then we have Kollam Thiruvananthapuram industrial region. Now these are the places where which is guided by a lot of population here. Okay, the population is quite high. Okay, and it is a plain region. Okay, the industry is quite suitable here. The transportation is quite good here. Okay, so the industry somehow or the other mean it started to establish in this region. Okay, now there may be minerals, lots of mineral here. There may be lots of labor force here. The population might be high here. The transportation might be good here. Okay, the financial condition might be good here. Uh, the banking facility may be good here. Okay, so these all conditions gives up to the high industrialization of a place. Okay, so this is not very hard. Okay, you just need to understand. Okay. Okay, now in this diagram you can see, okay, the major industrial region zone. The shaded part are the major industrial region zone. See you have in the Bengal you have the Hooghly districts, okay, and then you have Chotanagpur Plateau here, okay, in the south Maharashtra, Pune, Gujarat, okay, and Delhi, Haryana regions, okay. These are the very prosperous region, okay, very highly industrialized region. Then we have something called the industrial districts. Okay. Now in industrial district, we did the industrial region back then. Okay, that was a form. Okay, a basic thing. Okay, approx thing. Now we have a very quite to the point thing. Okay, very significant thing here. And this is called the industrial district. We are focusing on the district. Okay. Now we have Kanpur, Hyderabad, Agra, Nagpur, Gwalior, Bhopal. Very famous places. Okay, these are the very famous places like you all know. Okay, Kanpur is rich of leather factories. Okay, Kanpur is a rich of leather industry. Okay, they export leather from here. Okay, and Hyderabad has always been a good IT sector company. Okay, Agra is also very famous. Then you have Bhopal, Lucknow, Jalpaiguri. Okay, Jalpaiguri is turning to be a industrial zone. Lots of factories are being set here. Okay, so these all are the important industrial districts of India. But it is not that only these are the districts. Okay, other places are also flourishing. Okay, they are flourishing. It will take time, but they are going on with a natural pace. Okay, just go through this name. Okay, of course, this name won't come in your exam. They won't say which is the industrial district and all. But in your map making, okay, this name might come. So that's why the map I showed you, okay, that is going to be important. Okay, because as you all have less chapter here, okay, this map might be important for you. As we have less chapter in your syllabus, this map might be important. Okay, so just know about the industrial district. Just go through the name, practice it in your map. Just take out some important names from here, like Kanpur is important, Hyderabad is important, Lucknow is important, Bhopal is also important. Okay, so you take out the important places from here, just mark it and just try and revise it. Okay, practice it. It will be better for you all for your exam. Okay, for your map pointing. Okay, I don't think any question will come from here. Okay, stating that say some name of industrial district. I don't think so that will come. But for your map pointing, this is going to be important. Now, leaving all the industrial districts and all, let's come a little bit back towards the history of India. Okay, let's just start from the annual plans. So here I've stated some of the important industrial plans. Okay, some of the important 5-year plans. Okay, so let's just talk about it. Okay, and apart from this, you don't have to study much. Okay, so these are some of the important 5-year plans that you have to study. Okay. So we'll start with our first 5-year plan, and that started from 1951 to 1956. Okay, now this plan became very operational. Okay, and as it has started just after 4 years of independence, the main thrust of this plan was mostly on agriculture. Okay, so if the question comes, okay, and generally it may come, okay, like I have seen it in last year, from which 5-year plan did they started to focus on industries? Okay, the answer will be not the first 5-year plan, because first 5-year plan started to focus on the agriculture. Okay, The 5-year plan from which the industry were focused on is the second 5-year plan, and that's why second 5-year plan is very important. They started to focus on the industry. Okay, they started to focus on industry, but that doesn't mean it changed a lot. No, some amount of money from the budget was started to be taken out. Okay, because they felt that. Okay, now let's just discuss a little bit. Okay, now when India gained its independence, okay, 1947, and then the first 5-year plan was to happen in 1951. In this time, we saw that there was a lot of people who were into malnutrition. Okay, the people were not getting sufficient; they were not getting enough food to survive on. The farmers were committing suicides. Okay, the scenario of India was very bad. Okay, so the 5-year plans. Okay, whoever framed the 5-year plans, the government back then, they felt there is an urgent need to focus on agriculture. Okay, because first and foremost, let's survive. Okay, let's survive to do something better. Okay, if you don't survive, how will you do better? So they started to focus on agriculture. Okay, they tried to bring in the HIV seeds, and all those things started to happen. Okay, they planned for it. Now in the second 5-year plan, we felt that okay, the agriculture part is being done. Okay, it has not been done, but it is being done. Okay, much of the thing is happening. Okay, much of the improvement is happening. We can see that. So let's focus on improvement. Okay, so everybody better knew for a country to be developed, they needed to focus on the secondary and the tertiary activities. Okay, now secondary activities being the industry. Now they wanted to focus on that because there are data which suggest that whichever country focuses on secondary and tertiary activities, okay, those are the industries, and tertiary refers to the service sectors. Okay, like I am a teacher. Okay, this is a tertiary activity. Okay, so they started to feel that whichever countries focus on secondary and tertiary activity, those countries, they really prosper. Okay, now this is a given data. Okay, now there are various reasons for it. Okay, like some of the reason is in a working in an industry, you do not have to focus on the agriculture, because while focusing on agriculture, you have to focus on climate, you have to focus on soil, you have to focus on water, you have to focus on so many things. Frost-free days, how many frost? Okay, climate, temperature. So you have to focus on so many things. It is so uncertain, especially like a climate like in India, which is so uncertain. Okay, there can be any time rainfall. Okay, so sometimes there is a very high rainfall like this year. Okay, much of the parts of India are flooded. Okay, so the things scenario is very uncertain. So what did they do? For a country to become very prosper, they started to focus on the secondary and tertiary part, because when you work in an industry, you get at least a fixed salary. Okay, your salary is fixed. You work there for 1 month and you get at least this amount of money. You know that. Yeah, so this here your life is quite stable. Okay, it is quite static, so it is quite secure. So that's why they have the developed country, they focus on secondary and tertiary activity, and this is what India too did. In the second 5-year plan, they started to focus on industrialization. Okay, they started to focus on industry, and then we have the fifth 5-year plan. Okay, so the main emphasis of this plan was on rapid growth of core sector industries and increase the production of export-oriented articles and articles of mass consumption. Okay, now understand this. The main focus on the 5th-year plan was, so back then, okay, from the second to the third to fourth, we were focusing on very high industries. Okay, now remember this was the time when much of the industries were owned by the government. Okay, much of the mines or the industries were owned by the government, and we were focusing on quite a very rich kind of industries. Okay, like the car manufacturing industries, okay, iron and steel industries. Okay, we were not focusing on the ground level. So in the 5th 5-year plan, we saw for the first time that the government started to focus on the ground level. Okay, they started to focus on the core industries, the small cottage industries. Okay, industries that do not make much of money, but that gives employment to a lot of number, and those numbers are such who are benefiting a lot, because these are the deprived people. Okay, they were previously into agriculture and the agriculture did not work, so now they have turned to industrialization. They have turned to work as a labor in industry. Okay, these are the small cottage industries. Okay, core sector industries. They mostly reside in a very backward villages. Okay, which now has earned so much. Okay, that they have changed the entire village now. Okay, the entire village is prosperous now. Okay, so everything owes to here. Okay, it's began from here, from the fifth five-year plan. That's why I wrote this, okay, because it is important for you to understand. So they started to focus on the core sector industries, and they started to focus on those things which India was already good at. Okay, now India was already good at cotton. India was already good at jute. Okay, so they were started to focus on this thing which we can export. Okay, which we can increase the number and can export, because from export it helps in foreign exchange, right? So for India to compete in a global level, we have to come to that stage. Okay, we have to win that stage. So from the fifth five-year plan, we started to focus on the core sector industries. Now, core sector industries can be of many things: pottery making, artisans, okay, handmade handlooms, okay, which handlooms of India are very, very expensive. Okay, it is considered very good at international level. Okay, we started to focus on that, and then we started to export it as well. Okay, so India got its name, India got its uniqueness from here. And then in the 7 5-year plan, we had a rapid growth rate, okay, in the industry sector. Okay, we grew at a rate of 8.5%. Okay, and we focus mostly on the high tech and electronic industries and service bases. Now this is the time when we started to focus on the telecoms. Okay, things of mass communication like TVs. Okay, back then people used to have their Doordarshan and all. Okay, so we started to focus on this telecommunications. Okay, electronic industries. Okay, so 7 5-year plan is also important. Now the most important part, okay, this is the Industrial Revolution. Now, Industrial Revolution happened in 1991. Okay, so here we have a part called, we have the three part, okay, liberalization, globalization and privatization. Okay, we write it as liberalization, privatization and globalization, LPG. Okay, in 1991 there was an industrial revolution. Okay, there was a new industrial policy that had been given out. Okay, and this policy had the three main structure, and that is the liberalization, privatization and globalization. To understand this, okay, and maybe you all are doing it in economics, okay, so that will help here, okay, help here to understand. So previously much of the industries were owned by the government. Okay, much of the industries were owned by the government. Now the private entrepreneurs, they weren't as free as they should be. Okay, from chemicals to iron and steel to car manufacturing, all was owned by the government. Okay, the salary was from government. Okay, and back then the government was already pressurized. So many industries to look after. Okay, they were not going good at anything. Okay, the railways were under there, the telecommunication was under there, the iron and steel company was under there, the chemical industries were under there, the drugs industry was under there. Okay, so focusing on so many things, you cannot be good at everything. Okay, jack of all, king of none is what they say, right? So they started to focus on everything, and they were not good at anything. Okay, and because of this, the laborers were at strike. There was a huge revolution movement anywhere. Okay, people were converting to Maoists and all because they didn't have enough money. Okay, and people were demanding for a socialist government also somewhere. Okay, some parts of India. Okay, because why? Because the laborers were not satisfied. Okay, so many political things started to happen. Okay, and there was a huge mess all over the country. So this is the time when the government started to bring about a huge change, an industrial revolution, okay, that helps India till now. In July 24, 1991, the government announced the new industrial policy, and they announced under that the liberalization, privatization and globalization. Liberalization means a freedom, right? To be liberal is to be free. So what did they do free? Much of the tariff was removed, okay, and the non-tariff barriers were removed, okay. So there used to be a huge tax on industry. So this tax was removed, the loans were removed, okay. Now the people were quite free, okay, quite free from this tariffs, okay. Now it's like government is trying to loosen up their hand on the industry. Okay? They want the industry to flourish, you loosen up their hand, okay. So refers to the process of making policies less constraining of economic activity and also reduction of tariff or removal of non-tariff barriers. Okay. And second, we have the privatization. Now, as I said previously, the government used to control almost all of the industries. Now they allow the private entrepreneurs to let go and own their own industries. Okay, they allowed them, they encourage them. Okay, they encourage the people to be entrepreneurs. Okay, they encourage the people to be people to be something that generates an employment. Okay, so still now our government encourages us to become entrepreneurs. Okay, there are lots of activities going on. There are lots of mass study for that. Okay, our government wants us to be entrepreneurs so that we generate our own employment. Okay, we don't have to rely upon anyone else, because if I open an industry, there will be 1,000 of people who will be working there. Okay, and the 1,000 of people will be self-sufficient with their salary, right? So they won't be unemployed anymore. So privatization and then globalization. Now we have entered the stage of globalization. Today we live in a world of globalized world. Okay, you all listen to music. Okay, and I know you all taste. Okay, so you all listen to South Korean music videos. Okay, music albums. Okay, and you listen to English albums and all. So okay, we are living in a globalized society. Okay, all whatever happens in one world will happen in the other as well. COVID-19 that started in Wuhan is in our country now. Okay, is in our district. It is in our ward also. Okay, it is just in our area. Okay, so we live in a globalized world now. People are traveling everywhere. Our ethnicity is being carried out. Okay, our culture is being mixed. So with this, we felt that globalizing industry is the modern phase now. Okay, now we can invest in foreign companies. Foreign companies can come here. They can settle here. Okay, and they can they can make an industry in a place which are non-tariff zone. Okay, which for which they do not have to pay tax for a certain time. Okay, so we started to globalize. Okay, so this is one reason why Hyundai and Yamaha and KTM showrooms have opened in India. Okay, because we live in a globalized world, we allow everyone to come in. Okay, now after that, and then we have the 10th 5-year plan. Okay, now this plan targeted a GDP growth rate of 8%, and the growth target for industrial sector had to set at 10%. Okay, so this 10th 5-year plan too focused on industrial growth, because after this now all the plans they start to focus on industrial part. Okay, whether even if they focus on the agriculture part, they will focus on industry, because we are now facing our world in the modern age. Okay, now if you want to improve, if you want to develop, you will have to improve our secondary activity and our tertiary activity. Okay, like I said, so the 11th 5-year plan is important because this is our recent 5-year plan that we have to study. Okay, so but here there is nothing much that has changed. Okay, there is some difference in the growth rate. Okay, just that. Now, other thing that is important and that we need to discuss in class are the factors that influence the location of industries. Now, I'm talking about the location. Okay, where is the location? Because industry is a structure. Okay, it is a structure. Now, it has to be set up in a location. So, which is the most suitable place to set up an industry? How will you know that? Okay, so we will divide that into geographical and non-geographical zone factors. Okay. Now first we will see the geographical factors. Like for example, imagine yourself to be opening a factory. Okay, you are opening an industry, be it any industry. Now you want to locate it somewhere. First you will look at the geographical factor, and under geographical factor you will see the raw material. Okay, and from here we understand now. Now in the major industrial regions, okay, what we did, there was an industrial region called Chota Nagpur Industrial Region. Okay. Now Chota Nagpur is a plateau. A plateau is rich of minerals. Okay. A mineral is a raw material. For an iron and steel industry, raw material is the metal. Okay. It's the mineral. Okay. I need iron ore. Okay. Now, where will I set up the industry? I'll set up in the Chota Nagpur region. Okay. Because why? Because it will be much more cost efficient. Okay. It will be much more cheaper for me. Okay, I don't have to go and dig around in other place and make my industry at the other place. Why will I do that? Wherever I'll get the raw material, I'll make my industry there. Okay, because iron ore and those minerals are something which is very heavy, and heavy things need a lot of money to be carried out. Okay, you need labor money, you need transport money. Okay, you cannot transport it in trucks, you need to transport it in the trains. Okay, so it will cost you a lot. So I won't make my industry very far from there. I'll make my industry in the Chota Nagpur region. Okay. So raw material decides where you want to place your industry. Okay. If your raw material is very heavy, you place your industry in that area as well. Okay. Where you get the raw material, you will make your industry there. If your raw material is quite light, okay, Then let's talk about it later. Okay, don't confuse yourself. So you'll see the availability of raw material, and then you will set up your industry. Okay. Second thing is a power. From power, I mean the hydroelectric power or the coal power. Okay. By which the machines are working, because machine needs a power to run. It needs an energy. So I will either set up my I'll either set up my industry in a place where the power is good, right? Everybody will do that. Okay. So I will look for the good generation of power, whether it be hydroelectric power or whether it is a coal power. Now hydroelectric power, okay, now we live in the hills, okay, we all know it is generated here, okay. So it is generated in the high slopes, okay. The water from the high slope will come in a rapid speed, it will move the turbine, okay, and then there is a change to mechanical to kinetic energy, okay, and then we'll get electricity, right? So we'll look for that, okay, or else if that is not available, okay, if my industry is quite far from the high slope, okay, or from the hydroelectric branch, okay, then I will go to a place where there is a lot of coal, okay, because coal too generates energy and that can be used for running my machineries, okay. Like for example, that can be seen as an example in India. Okay, in West Bengal, in the southern parts of West Bengal, in the jute textile industry, they use coal from Raniganj area because Raniganj is so close to them. Okay, they use coal from there and they use it in the industry. Okay, so I'm just giving you an example to understand. Third thing I'll see is the labor. Okay, now I do not know why the geographical factor has labor. Okay. So the geographical factor has labor here. Okay, and that refers to the place. Now there are certain places in India where the population is quite high. Okay. Uh, if you all had seen, okay, we saw a very disturbing thing this year. Okay, a lot of people had to move from one place to the other. Okay, and those were the laborers. Okay, they couldn't live in Mumbai because Mumbai is too expensive to live without walking. They couldn't live in high areas. They couldn't live in Delhi because Delhi is too expensive to live without walking. So they had to walk and reach their home. Okay. So why did this labor go to Delhi and Mumbai to work in the industry? Okay. So I will set up a company. I'll set up an industry to a place where the labor facility is good, where the population is good, where the population is very high, where the population, okay, is educated, non-educated, okay, I'll give them job according to their education, according to their skill, okay. So labor also plays a very vital role. Then we have transport. Now, if I want to open an industry, I'll generally open it in a place which has a good communication, right? Why? Because I need the input of raw material. I need the raw material to come to my industry. I need to give out my finished product to the market. So that's why I'll need a good communication zone, right? Why will I make a industry in a top of a hill? Why will I go into Mount Everest and make an industry when I cannot bring in the raw material and cannot sell it, right? So this is why the plain areas, okay, this is why the plain areas is a industrial hub. The Ganga Brahmaputra plain is an industrial hub. Why? Because it is a plain area. And in plain area, the transportation is very good. You can build up road anywhere. In hills, you cannot do that. You all know, right? You all are so close to hills. Some of you all are from hills. You do not know, you all know that the roads cannot go anywhere, right? Some places there are roads, some places we still have to walk, right? So I will make up an industry where there is a good communication, good transportation. Okay. And then third thing, okay, fifth thing is a market. Now, for an industry to flourish, I will need a good communication with the market. Okay. Now comes your first thing. Okay. Now we can tally the raw material and the market. Okay, which I was about to say in the last thing, but I didn't want you all to get confused. Now, if now there are certain things to understand here. Okay, if I have an iron and steel industry, okay, and my raw material is iron ore, which is very heavy, okay, which comes out as a rock, big bunks of rock, and then I have to separate it, okay, which is very heavy. The transportation cost will be very high, okay, the labor cost will be very high because no labor will want to just pick it up for charity, okay. Then I will set up my industry at the place where I find the raw material. to decrease my transportation cost. Okay, because after I change the iron ore into iron and steel, that will be much lighter. Then I can transport it anyway and I can sell it in the market. So I will set up my industry at the place where the raw material is. Why? Because the raw material is very heavy. It will cost me a very much, okay, to carry it, okay, to carry it for a long distance. So that's why I'll set up my industry at the very place where I find the raw material. Now, there are certain things, okay, which the raw material is very light, okay, and the finished product is quite very heavy. Like for example, a cotton. Okay, now again I'm coming to cotton, okay, because this is the best example. Now cotton is very light as a raw material, okay, you can carry it anywhere, the transportation won't be very high, you can carry tons and tons of it, and the transportation won't cost you very high, okay, it will cost you high but not that high. So, but if I make a t-shirt out of it, if I make pants out of it, then it will become much more heavier than the cotton. Okay, so I will set up my industry near to the market where my giving out, okay, my output, that is the t-shirt, will not have to be carried out for so long. Okay, and that the expense will be decreased. Okay, my cotton is very light. The raw material is very light. I can transfer the cotton from one place to the other at a very cheap rate. But the t-shirts and the jeans pants, these are quite heavier than cotton. Okay. So I will set up my industry near to the market from where I can sell that product, okay, at a very low price. From where I can transport my output at a very low price. Okay. So market location is also very important. Okay. And there are some items which your industry needs to be set up right in the middle, okay, right in the middle between the raw material and the market, and this is said to be the best thing. Okay, now your input of raw material will also cost you less, and then the output of material will also cost you less. Okay, I'm talking in terms of the transportation. Okay, so you need to, if you're starting up an industry, your sole motive is to earn the profit. You need to have a good hold of the market. Okay, and then you will locate it in such manner. Okay, then we have water. Okay, because water is needed, like I said to you all in the last class. Okay, and for alcohol making, okay, for the production of beer, for 1 liter of beer, you need 10 liters of water, and that is the reason why there is a Dansburg industry opened just near to this study. Okay, so water is very important, and not just for the beer industry, for other industries as well, you need water. Okay, so that's why most of the industry, they are set at the banks of the river. Okay, and that is one of the reason why Ganga is so polluted. Okay, because so many industries have been set up there. They have such a bad sewage system, they leave all the pollutants on the water. Okay, which is not good. And then okay, then we have site. Now, site is nothing but a physical feature. Okay, a land should be flat. It should be a large area. Okay, there should be a lot of other industries as well, because those are the selected zones, right? Zones for your industry. Okay, and in such places, your tax is very low. Okay, government has set up a less tax on such region. Okay, to encourage the industries. Okay, so your site is the seventh part, and then we have the climate. Now, for your industry to set up, you will need to think about the labors as well. You do not want a very harsh temperature for your labors to work, okay, because if it is a very harsh temperature, then your labors may not work well, okay, might not work to the full capacity. So you will find a very mild weather zone, okay, very mild zone, and not just for your labor, but even there are some products which will get destroyed if it is too hard or too cold. Okay, now for beverages and all, okay, those products that you have, okay, you do not want a temperature very hot, you do not want a temperature very cold, you need a mild weather. Okay, so this is other thing. This is the last geographical factor. It ends up with climate, and then we have the non-geographical factor. Okay, in the non-geographical factor, we have capital as a very first mean. Now, capital means an investment. So you require a good investment to open up your industry. Now, I'm not talking about geographical factor. You build your industry anyway. Okay, according to the above given diagram, above given factors, you have built it. You have set up the industry. Now, industry is just a block. It is just a structure. Okay. Now, what is needed? Now, the non-geographical factor is needed. Now you need a capital, you need investment. Now there are things like the government is funding you. Okay, the government is funding you around 40%. You have is 60%. Okay. Other thing is you have shareholders. Lots of people, they put in their share. Okay, they share 10% of each. Okay. Reliance Jio just sold its share recently, right? So they have been selling it, okay, to the sales to everyone, okay, and the profit they will distribute among themselves according to the percentage they have invested in. Okay. So this is your capital, this is your investment. And without investment, how will you earn, right? Even if you start a small shop, okay, and those who are from business background, they will know, okay, for every business you need an investment, okay, without investment, nothing can be done. The second thing is the government policy. Now, in liberalization, privatization, globalization, we saw that much of the industrialization of things, okay, much of the industry thing, it changed after the government policies. Okay, they started a new industrial policy and things started to change. So, we can now see what effect a government policy can have. Okay, a government can, for the betterment of the entrepreneurs, they can listen up their tax. Okay, they can give a relief on the loan. Okay, if they needed to pay 12% of the loan, now they can be given a loan, okay, of around 6%. Okay, so that they are encouraged. Okay, so that they can flourish the industries. Okay, so that the entrepreneurship can just grow. Okay, because of growing in entrepreneurship, there will be a lot of employment, and a lot of people will get employment. Okay. So our government policies is very important. And other thing that we saw is the industrial inertia. Okay. Now industries tend to develop at the place of their original establishment. Though this original cause may have disappeared, this phenomenon is referred to as inertia, sometimes as geographical inertia and sometimes industrial inertia. Okay. The lock industry at Aligarh is such an example. Now, according to this, they say that there are certain phenomena, okay, there are certain conditions, maybe psychological, maybe social or whatever, that says that if there was a previous industry, okay, if there was a primitive industry of one type, then the modern industry will also open in that area. Okay, this can be seen in our local businesses too. Okay, if you all just go around in the market and if you all just look out, okay, if there is one garment shop, then the following four shops will also be the garment shop. Okay, if there is one grocery shop, the following market, okay, four shops will also be a grocery shop. Nobody knows the reason why. Okay, nobody wants to try something else, but that just happens. Okay, and this is called an industrial inertia. On the industrial perspective, this is called an industrial inertia. Okay. And then we have efficient organization. So efficient organization for running a company. Okay, you have much of a labor force. You have so many labor groups, labor parties, and all. So this all forms to an organization. Okay, you have organization for your HR. Okay, there are human resources. This can also be said to be an organization. Okay, now human resource, they check on the employee. Okay, they see the interest of the employee. Okay, and they are just not someone who backbites from the employee, but they also take care of the employee. Okay, so HRs are very important. This can also be an organization. And other thing is a banking facility, and then we have insurance. Now banking facility and insurance, these two are different. Okay, please understand. Whenever a bank is in debt, it is the insurance company that clears the debt. Okay, and sometimes, like America saw it, okay, in the 70s, okay, that sometimes the insurance companies also bankrupt at the same time. Okay, so the whole of the country, they went to a downfall back then. Okay, so but that is a very different thing. Okay, you'll do it in your economics. So banking facility and insurance companies, these are different. Now banking facility, they'll give you a loan. They'll take some tax from you. Okay, and if you need some loan, okay, if you are setting up an industry, you have a place, you can show them the blueprint, they will give you some amount of money. Okay, and now this is a banking facility. Now insurance is what? You have an industry, your industry is going good, but there was some unfortunate thing that happened. Okay, maybe there was a fire, maybe there was a flood. Okay, maybe there was some clash between the parties. Okay, something happened, something unfortunate happened, and you lost a lot. So those are the time when the insurance companies will cover your loss. Okay, the insurance company will come forward and they'll say, okay, you went through a loss of 1 lakh. Okay, we'll give you 80,000. Okay, so they will cover at least some amount of your loss. Okay. So then this is the diagram, okay, of the industries and the factors, okay. Yeah, this is the diagram of the industries and the factors. Okay, please note this. If you all can screenshot it, screenshot this. Okay, this may not be in your book. Now I have classification of industries. Okay. Now let's divide industry into some parts. Okay, into some parts on the basis of something. Okay. So we are not just dividing industry; we are dividing it on the basis of something. So at the very first, we have to on the basis of strength of labor. Now industry can be divided on the basis of strength of labor. Strength of labor means the number of laborers working day. Okay. Now these are of three types: large scale industry, medium scale industry, and the small scale industry. Now large scale industries are those where a large number of laborers uh, in each unit are okay, large number of laborers work here. Okay. Now the large number can be of any number, millions, billions. Okay. So this many amount of employees they work here. Okay, so these are called a large scale industry. Medium size, they have a quite medium size. It is not very large, not very less. Okay, just give a random number on it. Okay, because the numbers are not very well described here, so I'm not giving you all the numbers. Okay, numbers might change. Okay, so in the medium size industry, these are mostly the cycle industry, radio industry, television industries. Okay, here the labors are quite a good number. Okay, but they are not very high. And in the large scale industry, these are the cotton and jute textile industries. Okay, lots of people work here, directly or indirectly. Lots of people work here. And even the iron and steel industries and all, lots of people work here in the large scale industry. Okay, and medium scale industry, the examples are cycle industry, radio industry, okay, television industry and all. And then we have the small scale industry. Now these are the people, this is a very small industry where very less number of people they work. Okay, maybe a quarter size industry, 12, 13 people working there, 20 people working there indirectly. Okay, so these are the research. Okay, so the example can be a small scale industry, pottery making, artisans. Okay, now, on the basis of the raw material and finished goods. Now, industry can be divided on the basis of the raw material and finished goods. Okay. Now, these are divided into two parts: the heavy industry and the light industry. Now, as I said, your raw material can be either heavy or very light. Okay. So, the industries which use heavy and bulky raw materials and produce products of the same category are called heavy industries. Iron and steel industries present a good example of heavy industries. So, on the two industries, heavy industry and light industry, iron and steel industry, they come under the heavy industry. Why? Because the raw material is also heavy. The iron ore is quite heavy. And the finished product is also heavy. The iron and steel, they are heavy. Okay. And then we have the light industry. Okay. In the light industry, we have electrical industries, okay, cotton industries. Okay. Why? Because even the raw material is light, even the finished product is light. So light in the terms, light and heavy in the terms of weight, okay? So this is just so simple. On the basis of raw material, it is divided into two, heavy industry and light industry. Very simple, okay? Now on the basis of ownership. Now while I'm telling you all this, just jot it down, okay? Just jot it down. This will not be there in a book. Okay, just jot it down. Now on the basis of ownership, industry can be divided into four groups. Okay, private sector, this is earned by a company, a man, okay, just a single person, Tata Birlas, okay. Public sector, industry is owned by the state and its agency. Okay, so the state owns it. The state means the government owns it. Okay, so government means the whole of the person owns it. Why? Because we pay the revenue, right? So that's why they say the states owns it. Okay, so everybody owns it. So, but don't just go and claim them. Okay, that's not possible. So Bharat Heavy Electricals is one of them. Okay, liquid petroleum gases are one of them. Okay, steel plants, Bhilai Steel Plant is one of them. Okay, so this is just some of the example. These are the public sector industries. Okay, the public owns them. And then you have the joint sector industries. Now, industries owned jointly by the private firms and the state or its agencies such as are called the joint sector industries. Now, in joint sector, what happens is, like I said you, okay, about the ownership, I give around 40% of the money. Okay, now I don't have money for the 60%. So what will I do? I'll go to the state. Now the state will invest the 60%. So now who owns it? I will own it. Now even the public will own it. Okay, the state will own it. The government will own it. So both of us are owning it. Okay, 40-60%. So this is called a joint sector industry. Fourth, we have the cooperative sector industries. Industries owned and run by cooperatively by a group of people who are generally producers of raw material of the given industry, such as sugar mill industry, and run by farmers are called cooperative sector industries. Okay, now you all don't have it in your chapter. Okay, in agriculture chapter for class 12, they have something called a cooperative society. Okay, now what is a cooperative society is? I'm talking about farming. Okay, it's just a basic example. Now, cooperative farming is such where the banks, in some types of agriculture, the banks they do not give much loan, and the government is not heeded of it. Okay, and these are mainly the horticulture zone, which is not very necessary, right? It's not necessary as rice and wheat. Okay, this can be just done as a hobby. Okay, so government doesn't pay much heed to them. So what do? They have formed a cooperative society. They all 2 or 3 or 10 of the horticulture farmers they have met. They have formed a society. Okay, they have formed a group. They have made a cooperative bank even. Okay, so if any person from the cooperative from that horticulture industry, farmer, if they need some loan, they will go to the cooperative loan of their own kind. Okay, so this is called a cooperative society. So me as an industrialist, you as an industrialist, your friend as an industrialist will meet. We will own an industry, okay, and the raw material also we will only supply, okay, and the profit of the output we will only supply, okay, we will only distribute among each other. So this is called a cooperative industry. Now next we come to the on the basis of source of raw material, okay. Now, industry can be divided on the basis of the source of raw material. From where do we get our raw material? Industries can be divided on that. First, we have the agro-based industry. Now, these are the industries which focuses on the agriculture. Okay, agro-based industries are those which are key, which have the raw material from the agriculture. Okay, from the very first. Okay, those are called the agro-based industries. Agro-based industries are those industries which obtain raw material from agriculture, like cotton, textile, jute, textile, sugar and vegetable oil. Why? Because for cotton textile industry, I will need cotton and cotton is grown in a farm. For jute industry, I need a jute and jute is grown in a farm. For sugar and vegetable oil, I need sugar and vegetables and that is grown in a farm. Okay, that is grown in a land in an agricultural field. Okay, so this is called agro, means agriculture based industries. Okay, agricultural based industries is also called agro based industry. Second, we have the mineral based industry. So now we have the picture. Okay, now I get the raw material from the land. Okay, from the upper crust. Okay, uh, from the upper mantle crust areas. Okay, beneath our core, or beneath the surface of the earth. Okay, so from here we get the minerals. Okay, so from the raw materials can be iron ore, okay, or bauxite, zinc, aluminium. Okay, we get directly from the land, right? We just below our surface, beneath our surface, we get it from there. Okay, so here our industry is mineral based industry. So what kind of industries are these? These are the iron and steel industries. Okay, some electrical industries as well. Okay, so cement industries is one of them. Okay, because cements. Okay, so limestone and all is found in the ground. Okay, then we have the pastoral based industry. This industry is depend upon animals for the raw material. So now what is the pastoral? Pastoral actually refers to a land where an animal can graze. Okay, so those are called a pastoral land. Okay, so whichever land where there are grasses and the animals can graze, those are called a pastoral land. Okay, pastoral land. Pastoral, pastoral. Okay, so just write this name. Okay, and so these are the industries that depends on the raw materials given up by the animals. Okay, like the fur for making jackets, skin for making leather jackets. Okay, or your boots, or your belts. Okay, or your purse, or your meat. Okay, now meat is used for where? For your KFC, for your Domino's. Okay, so these are your pastoral based industries. Quite a huge industry. Quite a huge industry. People who have this leather business, okay, they are very rich. They have a huge business. Okay, they are very rich people. Okay, the industry is very rich. Okay, they import and export all over the world. Okay, that's a global industry. And then we have the forest-based industry. Now, forest-based industry mostly refers to you collecting things that are in the forest, okay? Maybe of medicinal plants, okay? Uh, Darjeeling is quite rich of cinchona, okay, and cinchona is used for making malarias, okay, medicines for malaria, okay, and this was one thing that the government was looking for making. They thought that this would cure COVID-19, okay. So these are some of the industries that focuses on that. So chemist and drug industry, okay, paper cardboard industry, okay, paper industries, okay, you need paper from the forest, rubber industry, okay, there are rubber plantations. Okay, so these are some of the things. Now let's talk about miscellaneous industries. Lots of industries. Okay, miscellaneous means mixed up. Village industry. Village industries are located in village and primarily cater to the needs of the rural people. So whatever the rural people needs, they will just supply that. Okay, this is called a village industry, very small industry. Cottage industry. This also happens in mostly in the villages, but not very confined to villages. It can happen in town as well. 20 to 30 people work here, and they are mostly into pottery, artisans, handlooms and all. Okay, sometimes it is very expensive, sometimes it is very cheap. Okay, now consumer goods industry. Okay, consumer industries convert raw material or primary products into commodities directly used by the people. Okay, so what are this? Your bakery. Okay, so the bakery takes eggs, vanilla and baking powder and all of the stuff. They bake it and they make a cake and give you, and you can directly eat it. Okay, so this is a consumer good industry. Even this is an industry. Ancillary industry. The industries which manufacture parts and components to be used by big industries for manufacturing heavy articles like trucks, buses, railway engines. Now this is an example of something like they make it part by part. Okay, some part they make the engine. Okay, some industry they make only the engine. Some industry they make the headlight. Okay, some industry they make something the tire, and then one of the heavy industry they mix it. Okay, they mix all of it and then they sell. They make a truck out of it. They make a bus out of it. Okay, so this is refers to that industry, and this is called an ancillary industry. ANCILLARY, ancillary. And then we have the basic industry, industry on which depend many other industries for the manufacturing process are called basic industries. Okay. Now these are the industries like iron and steel industry, cement industry. Why? Because for my industry to make my industry as a structure to make my industry, okay, just the building, I need iron and steel and cement, right? So I will be dependent on the iron and steel and cement industry to make it and give me. Okay, so this is called a basic industry. They make the basic products. Okay. Capital intensive industry. Now these are the industries where huge investment is needed. Now these are the big companies, okay, Jaguar companies, Lamborghini companies, car manufacturing companies, iron and steel industries, okay, Tata ISCO. So these are the something, and other is a labor intensive industry. Now these are the industries which are not very commercial, very capital intensive. Okay, not much of investment is done here. The industry is quite small. Okay, and they make full use of their labor. Why? Because they cannot afford machinery. Machinery is not there. So these are very capital intensive. Now sometimes when there is a lot of labor, that thing can be of very high price. Okay, Harley Davidson is so expensive because the people they fix it by their own hand. Okay, much of the job is done by their own hand. Okay, so for giving perfection. Indian textile, the handlooms. Okay, the handloom industry. Okay, of cotton is so expensive. Okay, some of which is not even affordable. Okay, why? Because people make it by their own hand. Okay, they give unique texture to each cloth. Okay, they give unique embroidery to each cloth. Okay, so that's why it is so expensive. But sometimes this can be very cheap. Okay, like the tobacco industries and okay, so these are labor intensive industry, but the salary is very low. Okay, and though the owner owns a lot of profit, but still they are deprived of much more things. Okay, now now as we have done all the basic of industries, we have classified industries, we have divided industries. Let's start to focus on now one after the another. Okay, industries. Okay, first let's do the textile industry. Now textile is a broad term, okay, which includes cotton, jute, fiber textiles and all. Now these are the things that we can wear. Okay, to be very frank and very simple, textile industry makes clothes. Okay, makes clothes, t-shirt, pants and all that we can wear. Okay, makes bed sheets, mattresses. Okay, whatever that we can wear. out of cotton, jute, modern fabrics, okay, nylons and anything, okay, silk, okay, wool. So these are the textile industries. Now, at the very first, let's begin with the cotton textile industry. Now, India was always in a monopoly for over 3,000 years ago. Okay, with cotton. Now there are some Greek records that say that when people of Europe, they were wearing leather skins. Okay, they were wearing animal skins. People of India and China, because China used to get cotton from India. Okay, because China used to get all the cotton materials, textile from India. They were wearing cotton clothes. Okay, cotton clothes. Okay, now this is a fact. So there are records of it. So by this we understand from around 1500 BC to around 1500 AD, for 3000 years. Okay, back then, India was already flourishing in the cotton industries. Okay, and so cotton now has 16% of industrial capital. Okay, so let's talk about the present position of cotton textile. Okay. Now, if India was flourishing back then, okay, it should be flourishing till now, right? Because whichever country has some base, okay, has a strong base, then it cannot be deprived of anything. Until and unless some political phenomena happens, okay, they will still go strong. So cotton for now, okay, 16% of industrial capital is there. 20% of the industrial labor is in cotton. Okay, 20% of the 100% total labors in India. 20% of them work in a cotton textile industry. And cotton, okay, as a crop, 25% of total agricultural land is produced of cotton. Okay, so just considering the cotton, India produces cotton and is in the first rank. Okay, second is the USA, and then third consumer is after China. Okay. So, cotton textile industry, before coming to cotton textile industry, let's talk about cotton for some times, okay? Let's understand cotton first. So, for a cotton to grow, okay, and the geographical factors are, it requires a black soil and the temperature is tropical and subtropical zone. Okay, so much of the India is tropical and subtropical. So, it is very healthy, it can grow in India in a very nice amount, okay? And black soil, but the soil is needed here is a black soil. Okay, and one thing about the cotton is it needs 210 frost-free days. Okay, and it requires a rainfall of 50 to 100 centimeter rainfall. Okay, but it happens in places of lesser rainfall. So what do? They irrigate the land. Okay, so cotton is growth at a very high amount. Okay, in Gujarat. So Gujarat is the first, okay, highest cotton producing state in India. Then comes Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh, Punjab, Rajasthan and Karnataka. Okay, this is the cotton part. Now let's talk about cotton textile industries. So about 16% of the industrial capital is invested. Okay, industrial investment is done here. 14% of the industrial production and over 20% of the industrial labor of the country. Okay, so 20% of the industrial labor is done here, and 14% of the industrial production. Out of all the production, 14% of it is of cotton. Okay, also of cotton textile. Okay, like clothes, t-shirts or whatever. Uh, after that, let's talk about the production. Okay, so cotton can be produced in three ways: by mills, power looms, and hand looms. Okay. Now mills are the very primitive way of producing a cotton textile. Okay, you have a mill to do that. You mostly use coal as a power. Okay, and much of the thing is not done by machinery. Much of the thing is done by labor. So it is very labor intensive. Okay, and from here, not very high quality of cotton textile is made. Okay, it is of very low quality. Okay, so this is your mills. Second is a power loom sector. Now power loom is just opposite to mill. Here you need you use a lot of machineries, okay, and you need a lot of power, and that's why it is called power loom industry, power loom sector. Okay, uh, the remaining data, okay, the data is given here. I will share it to you. Okay, for that you just need to look it at once. Okay, and it won't be very nice to explain you all the data. Okay, because you won't even remember the numbers. So it is something that you need to do. Okay, so don't just read everything, just read how much India produces, okay, and who is the leading producer, okay. India ranks at what amount, okay, so just do that. So Pawlum sector means a very high machinery zone. Okay, you are making cotton textiles, you are making t-shirts and jackets and all by using machineries. Okay, now then you have the handlooms. Now handlooms is something by which one person or two persons or each person they make each clothes by their own hand. Okay, now they may not make the entire cloth by their own hand, but they add some uniqueness to it. And handlooms of India are well known. Okay, it is internationally acclaimed. It is one of the most expensive clothes in the world. Okay, handloom symbolizes rich heritage and ethos of vibrant Indian culture. Okay, not everybody can afford this. The embroidery are so rich. Okay, sometimes just to make it expensive, they use gold threads on that. Okay, on the embroideries. So these are handlooms are very expensive, and it has won a international acclaim. Okay, India is very highly acclaimed for their handlooms. Okay, so we have mills, cotton textile made on mills. We have powerloom sectors, cotton textiles made of powerloom sectors. We mostly get the clothes from powerloom sectors. Then we have the handlooms. Okay, each person they put some uniqueness on each cloth. Okay, so that's why it is very expensive, and it is as handmade, so it is very professionally made. Okay, then these are the sectors. The data will be given to you. You just go through the data. Okay, that will be your job to do. And then let's talk about the locational factors. So after all the locational factors we have done, okay, the geographical factors. So now we get a clear picture of that. We don't have to do much of it. You need a good power for your cotton textile industry. Okay, the coal or the hydroelectric power should be good. You need raw material availability. Okay, now you can just place it near the market or where you find the raw materials. Okay, like in Gujarat and Maharashtra, and these are the places where the cotton grows very nicely, and these are the places where the cotton textile industries are also there. Okay, and so Maharashtra is the first cotton textile producing state. Okay, cotton textile. Okay, the first cotton producing state is Gujarat. Cotton textile is Maharashtra, and Maharashtra is also called Cottonopolis of India, a place where cotton is made. Cottonopolis. Okay. 39.38% of cloth of total cotton cloth is made here. Okay, and 10.79% yarn of India. Okay, so 39.38% of the total cotton cloth made from all over the states, 39.38% is made from Maharashtra. Okay, so these are some of the data that will confuse you if I'll try to explain you. Okay, and other factors. So these are some of the factors. Now, cotton is produced highly in India. Okay, second comes China and then USA. But who is the highest exporter of cotton? China is the highest exporter of cotton. Why? Maybe because they do not use it themselves. Okay, this can be one thing. Or maybe because their exporting market is quite good. Okay, and second comes European Union. European Union is an amalgamation of most of the European countries. Okay, so that has to be good. And third comes India. So we are doing good in cotton. Okay, and the locational factors, I don't have to explain so much. Okay, after explaining the entire basic, okay, locational factors of the whole industry. Now we will do, so this is the diagram, okay, where the cottons are grown. Let's talk about problems then. So distribution you all know now, right? Maharashtra is the highest cotton textile making industry. There are 63 mills, okay, out of 122 mills. So in total there are 122 mills, okay, cotton mills in India. Out of them 63 is in Mumbai, or is in Maharashtra, okay, and Mumbai is called the Cottonopolis of India. Okay, why? Because they have black soil. The climate is quite humid. Okay, so the hydroelectricity is quite good. The Mumbai is well connected by network, transportation. Okay, so blah blah blah, all the same thing. Okay, so this you can use your brain. Okay, why Maharashtra is good at cotton making? Okay, so you all can use your brain from that factors that influences that influences the location of industry. Okay, so you all can use that mind here. Okay, and second comes Gujarat, then Madhya Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, and then we have West Bengal. Okay, Kolkata is also very important. Okay, and as we have Hooghly, we can export it as well. Okay. Now, what are the problems of the cotton textile industry is scarcity of raw material. Now, as everyone is focusing on industrialization, and as North India fully, completely has gone into the wheat cultivating zone and the paddy cultivating zone. Now, for raising cotton, okay, few states are left, okay, and that is also decreasing. So we have a scarcity of raw material, and we have obsolete machinery. Our machineries are not good, not at all. Okay, we are using the age-old processes. Okay, we are using mills still now. Powerloom industry also, it's not very nice. Okay, why? Because it's not making much profit. Okay, so our machine is also very obsolete. Okay, erratic power supply. The power supply is not at all good. You all can see. Okay, even now when we are taking classes, sometimes the light goes off. Sometimes the internet is not working. Okay, so even industry is being affected in the same way. Low productivity of labor. Our labors are not that intensive. Okay, they are not that skillful. They do not know what to do, how to do. Okay, in that well number. Okay, they are not trained. Okay, they learn. And then strikes. Okay, so labor strikes are there because why? Because the payments are not fulfilled. Okay, because content industry is not already doing good. Okay, in terms of economically, all are not doing good. Some are doing good. So the strikes and all is also affecting much more. Now, then we have a stiff competition. Now cotton textile industry comes into the second. First we have the man-made fiber. So this man-made fiber or the artificial clothing, artificial fiber, okay, like leather which we get is not a leather now, okay, it is resin. Okay, so this kind of artificial fiber is taking on our market, and this is giving a strict or stiff competition to cotton. Okay, because this kind of clothing, the artificial clothing, they can be very versatile. Okay, they can be worn in rain, they can be worn in summer, they can be worn in winter. Okay, and cotton, it's not like that. Cotton, you have to wear it in summer mostly, in winter not. No. Okay, so there is something or the other. So this kind of man-made fiber, the artificial fiber, is giving stiff competition to cotton. Okay. Now we have what? We have jute textile. So jute is the second most important textile industry of India after cotton. Okay. And so jute is mostly grown in West Bengal. Okay. Jute is mostly grown in West Bengal, and previously it was much more higher, but as Bangladesh separated, okay, most of the jute mills, it has gone to Bangladesh now. Okay, but still India is the highest jute producing country in the world. Okay, Bangladesh comes second, and West Bengal is the highest of it all. Okay, out of around 87, okay, out of around 83 jute mills, 64 are in West Bengal. And why West Bengal is suitable? Because of the Ganga Brahmaputra plain. For jute cultivation, you need a alluvial soil, and Ganga Brahmaputra has around 73% of the total jute mill. Okay, and the power mill. Okay, so and they have, like, for the power they use the Raniganj coalfield. Raniganj coalfield is quite near. Okay, so they bring in all the coal from there and they use it to make up jute textile. Okay, so in that way also they are saving some amount of money. Okay, and that way is also being very effective. Raniganj is just 200 kilometers away. Okay, from where? From the Ganga Brahmaputra delta, and from delta I'm in the Sundarban delta. Okay, and the climate is very humid. Okay, we have a humid climate in West Bengal. Okay, and the banking and the insurance facilities is also good, like I explained in the class. Now all of the things were doing good in India. The western part was doing good with wheat cultivation. The southern part was doing good with IT sectors or cotton textile industry. Now West Bengal had some way. Okay, West Bengal needed to do good in something. So West Bengal was already leading in jute production. So what did they thought? Okay, as we are leading in this, let's just continue being on the top. Okay, so then they started to focus on the jute industry. They started to focus on them. They started to give them a lot of loan. The farmers got a lot of loan. Okay, they got a lot of loan, and then the taxes were also decreased. Okay, so they were encouraged in a very high amount. Okay, and not just that, some of the farmers were given even lands, okay, to work on. Okay, so that they can be helpful to the society. So all this kind of encouragement started to happen. And back then, when the government was a communist government, and then we had a socialist type of a movement. Okay, And in a socialist type of government, what happens is each farmer gets some share of land. Okay, in that way, no one is very deprived, no one is very rich. Okay, so we had a communist government, so so the other people also they got some share on the land, on the state lands. Okay, and they were told to grow jute. Okay, and then they did. They started to grow jute, and they became prosperous. Okay, the state became prosperous, and we are still the leading jute producing country state in India. And the second is the Andhra Pradesh, third is the Bihar, fourth is the Uttar Pradesh, and then Assam. Okay, so here you don't have to focus very high, very much. Okay, this is what is needed. Datas are there. Okay, then datas you have to focus not very much. Okay, just few of them. Now, what are the problems of Indian jute industry? So this is something which, if I'll tell you, explain you don't even have to look in a book. Okay. So what are the problems? Most of the jute producing areas went to Bangladesh. Like I said, most of the jute producing state it went to Bangladesh. Okay. Now eastern and western Bangladesh, eastern and western Bengal. Okay. So the east got separated and became Bangladesh. Okay. But previously we all were one, right? The Britishers were already flourishing on the jute cultivation. But as there was a partition, okay, much of the jute mills they went and shifted to the Bangladesh part. Okay. So this was one thing. Okay, our source has gone. Okay, we had to give up that too. Other thing is most of our customers could not get our jute products during World War II. Okay, so I don't know why we are talking about back then, but let's see now. Russia, USA, Japan. Now these are the three countries that imports jute from us. Okay, we export our jute to Russia, USA, and Japan. Now, if you remember the World War II, these were the three countries who were fighting, who were fighting against each other. Okay, who were at the key role in the war. So when all of this, okay, all of our customers were fighting, so whom would we sell, right? So it kind of deprived us, okay, it kind of harmed us. We went in a loss back then, okay. The newly established mills and improved machines in Bangladesh are able to produce better quality goods. So now the same thing. It's West Bengal, a state versus a country. Okay, so Bangladesh has better machineries. We do not have much machinery, though we are trying. Okay, so Bangladesh has gained a lot of international market now. Okay, people prefer theirs jute than us. Okay, the other thing is also that the overall demand for jute has decreased. Now, as I said in the class, I don't know if you all our generation saw that, but we as a children saw that, right? We have jute to clean our utensil, we have jute to wash off our clothes, okay? But now we have scotch pipe to do that, okay? We have a different kind of a thing to wash our clothes, okay? So this whole thing has are being done. We have washing machines and all now, right? Of course. So our overall market, okay, the overall demand for the jute is also being decreased, okay? And also other reason is the input cost of jute production is very high. Okay, for making a jute something, okay, for even a bora or something, okay, you need a lot of money. Okay, so nowadays people they don't want to invest. Okay, so they want to invest very less to gain very high. Okay, so this is the thing. After jute, now, so I hope I gave the drawing for jute. Now we have something that we couldn't do in our class. So we have the silk textile industry. Okay. Now before going to the silk textile industry, let's just understand a silk. Now let's start with the geographical factor. For a silk to grow, you need a 17 degrees Celsius to 45 degrees Celsius of temperature. Now this gap is a huge gap. So it means that silk can grow almost anywhere. Okay, from 17 to 45 degrees Celsius, it can be anywhere. Okay, and the rainfall from 125 centimeter to 175 centimeter. So this is a tropical subtropical zone, right? 125 centimeter to 175 centimeter. Okay, this is from moderate to high. Okay, so a tropical and subtropical region is perfect for that. And the soil you need is alluvial soil. So almost whole of India. Okay, almost whole of the India has alluvial soil. Okay. So with the alluvial soil, I do not mean for the silkworm, okay? I mean for the mulberry tree, okay? Now, which I'll come to the later on. So I'm just giving you all the geographical factor where it can happen. Now, silk can be of many types, okay? Some of which are mulberry silk, okay? Tropical tassa, oak tassa, eri silk, and muga silk. Okay, after this, mulberry is the most that we find and also the best one. Okay, so when I gave you all the soil type, I did not mean about the silkworm. If you all remember, silk is we get silk from a worm, okay, from a caterpillar, okay, and that is called a silkworm. Okay, now they have many names. Okay, uh, and now there is a certain kind of a silkworm. Okay, Bombyx mori. Okay, so the silkworm name is Bombyx mori. Okay, and the thing for them is they feed on a mulberry tree. Okay, they feed on the leaves of a mulberry tree, and that's what makes the silk very nice. Okay, by what they have, and this type of silk is what we get as a mulberry silk. The very first thing that we discuss. So how do we find the mulberry silk? There is a certain type of a silkworm called a Bombyx mori, which is given mulberry leaves to eat. Okay, and they eat it. Okay, and then the silk we get from those silkworm is called a mulberry silk. Okay, mulberry. Now let's just do a process how a silk is formed from a normal silkworm. Okay, not just Bombyx mori, but from every other silkworm. Okay, now a silkworm is nothing but a caterpillar. Okay, so what if we all know about the caterpillar? Caterpillar changes to cocoon and then to butterfly or a moth, right? So here it changes to a moth. So what happens is young silkworms or caterpillars are fed mulberry leaves. Okay, so this is one thing. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Okay, a silkworm lays egg on a particular type of a paper. Okay, and one silkworm lays around 350 of eggs. Okay, and from each egg a young silkworm is born. Okay, after 35 days the silkworms are young and ready to spin cocoon, and by then they are fed mulberry leaves. Okay, so they are given mulberry leaves to eat on. And now previously the silkworm used to be a wild insect, but now due to thousands of years of captivity and domesticating them, they cannot survive in the wild. Okay, so we need to do it in a small place in a captivity, and that thing is called a sericulture. Okay, it is raising a silkworm to bring out silk is called a sericulture. Sericulture. Culture. Okay, sericulture. That is the process of captivating or domesticating silkworm to get silk out of them. Okay, that process is called a sericulture. Just like you have agriculture, okay, you plow the land, okay, and then you get harvest, right? So in the same way, you have sericulture where you domesticate a silkworm, you feed them, okay, and then you get a cocoon from where you get the thread, okay, and then you get the silk, okay. So you have a small silk, okay, you have an egg now, okay, you have 350s of egg. From the egg hatches small silkworms. It takes then it starts to grow. You feed them mulberry leaves. Okay, you have to do it yourself. Okay, you have to just place it in their plates or whatever. Okay, so you give them mulberry leaves. They eat that in 35 days. Now they are young. Okay, they are adults. Okay, they are youth. They now try to thread their cocoon. Okay, they start to make cocoons. Okay, now they start to make cocoons, and the cocoon from the cocoon. Okay, so 2-3 days later the cocoon is around 1 mile long. Okay, so now they are fully covered on the cocoon. Now the cocoon is heated to kill the caterpillar. Okay, so this is the sad part. The cocoon is then heated to kill the caterpillar, and then it is boiled. Okay, the thread is boiled so that each thread can just be unwoven. Okay, it can just come out. Okay, like a long thread. Okay, and that is the silk we get. Okay, so this is the process. I just want you all to know the process how a silk is formed. Okay, egg, then you domesticate silkworms, you get cocoon. Okay, you get cocoon out of it, and then from cocoon you boil it and you get threads. Okay, now this is the thing. And then you have mulberry leaves, mulberry silk, as I said you, okay, and then you have tropical tessa silk, okay, oak tessa silk, and then you have aries silk, and then you have muga silk, okay. Now, Karnataka is the foremost silk producing state in India. It produces only mulberry silk and and accounts for over 50% of the mulberry silk of the country. So, Karnataka is a place where you get a lot of cotton silk, okay, mulberry silk, okay. And then you have tropical Tessa silk. As from the name, it grows in a tropical zone. Okay, produces in Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, and parts of Orissa. Then you have oak Tessa. Okay, where you get in Manipur, Himachal, Uttar Pradesh, Assam. Okay, sub-Himalayan states. And then you have Aries silk. Okay, ranks first among non-berry silk, and production is mostly in hill tracts of the northeastern states. So this all you will have it in your book. Okay, so I won't go further for that. And the only thing you needed to learn here was about how the silk is and understand the silk. Okay, so major silk producers are China. China produces almost 54% of the total silks in the country, in the world. Okay, and India produces 14% of the total silk in the world, and India comes second. So 54% or 14%, that's a huge gap. And then in the third we have Uzbekistan. Okay, in India we have Karnataka, the leading mulberry silk production in India, and then we have West Bengal. We have 13% of that. Okay, so other thing apart from this, you will have it in your book. Okay, so let's just finish till here. Let's just finish this class till here. Okay, and then just go through this. Okay, just go through this, because in the next class I want you all ready. Okay, I want you all ready with this work. Okay, okay then, goodbye guys, take care of yourself. Okay.